In May of 2014, Modern Family aired a great big fairy tale wedding that was absolutely perfect in every way.
Uh-oh.
We are never gonna get there on time.
I'm leaving you.
The fire has jumped the freeway.
Oh my God! The butterflies are eating me!
And here comes the happy couple now, Mitchell and Cam, part of a big chaotic ensemble that made up Modern Family. Together for the better part of a decade, Mitch and Cam built a home together, raised a daughter, and stood by each other through ups and downs, richer and poor, sickness and health, lawyer and clown.
Bisbo is not gay, he's asexual.
But despite being one of the most wholesome couples on television, when Modern Family debuted, Mitch and Cam were the one household on the show that wasn't allowed to get married. Getting these guys to the altar was a multi-year effort, both on screen and behind the scenes, on the part of the writers, the actors, and ultimately, the US Supreme Court.
I am Chief Justice.
Hey friends, I'm Matt Baum, and this is the behind-the-scenes story of how Modern Family's Cam and Mitch finally made it down the aisle for one of the most anticipated weddings of the year.
Wait, what's the balloon budget?
It was 2009, and the American sitcom was dead. Or at least that's what the critics were saying. After a golden age in the 90s, successful sitcoms started getting rarer and rarer in the 2000s, with ratings dropping on every network. At that point, sitcoms had been around for about 60 years, and many critics said that they'd become too stale to continue, that they were all the same stories that TV had just been churning out for decades. And that's why everyone was so surprised by the premiere of Modern Family on September 23rd, 2009. It was a departure from the decades-old family sitcom formula of two parents, wacky kids, nosy neighbors. This show took a bunch of modern, diverse family structures and put them all in one show. There were couples that were divorced.
Maybe if you had burned our house down, we'd still be together.
Kids born out of wedlock.
I was conceived at a Duran Duran concert.
Parents who remarried despite a big gap in age and even bigger gap in communication.
I called your secretary and told her to order you a box of baby cheeses.
And most unusual of all for TV, a gay couple raising an adopted baby. This is Cam and Mitch.
We don't love Pink.
You love pink.
No, Pink loves me.
And it may seem like no big deal now, but in 2009, having two gay dads among the leads of a network sitcom was pretty unusual. There had been some same-sex couples on TV before, but they were usually side characters or one-off guests, or tragically short-lived. For Modern Family to make Mitch and Cam equal in prominence to the straight couples was a rare move for a sitcom, and particularly risky for a format that everyone thought was on death's door. So, how did it happen? Well, it all started with a disaster. 2 years earlier, in 2007, Fox had attempted a new sitcom called Back to You that looked like it was going to be a surefire hit. It starred megastars Kelsey Grammer from Frasier and Patricia Heaton from Everybody Loves Raymond. It was directed by James Burrows, who directed on Cheers and Friends and Will and Grace. Everyone was convinced this would be a smash.
This fall, Kelsey Grammer and Patricia Heaton return to television and making news.
It didn't even last a season. Back to You came off as a weak retread of sitcoms that viewers had seen a million times before, and meddling from Fox executives just made the show worse. When it got canceled, critics saw it as another sign that the end of sitcoms was nigh. And it also looked like it might be the end for the careers of the guys who made it. Back to You was created by two producers named Stephen Levitan and Christopher Lloyd. Not that Christopher Lloyd, the other Christopher Lloyd. Stephen and Christopher had both spent their whole careers on classic sitcoms like The Golden Girls and Wings, but it seemed like audiences just didn't want their kind of show anymore. When Back to You ended, Stephen and Christopher started frantically trying to come up with something different.
Basically, we're just looking not to get kicked off the lot.
Between brainstorming half-baked ideas, they noticed that the funniest stories they told each other were true ones about their families. Big, extended groups with complex structures.
We start realizing that this is a show that's not on TV.
So they started building the concept, a great big family ensemble, much larger than on most traditional sitcoms, and shot in a mockumentary style that only a couple shows had done at that point. But as they developed the concept and shopped it around, one aspect in particular became a point of concern. At first, they wanted to have one of the households led by a single parent, but they were having trouble coming up with single parent storylines. In a moment of inspiration, they spun that one character out into two gay dads, Mitch and Cam. Potential storylines started falling into place, but before long, Stephen and Christopher realized that having a gay couple might be a turnoff for some viewers.
And we said from the very beginning, this is going to mean we probably won't be a giant hit.
Stephen said, "I remember thinking, well, there goes the middle of the country." This concern wasn't unfounded, considering how Americans tended to respond to gay characters on TV and in real life. A decade earlier, when Ellen came out, a survey showed that nearly a quarter of Americans were personally offended.
I know what you need.
A melon baller.
I'm gay.
By 2008, public opinion had started to shift, and viewers had embraced standalone gay characters on shows like Will and Grace and Grey's Anatomy. But couples was another matter. Those were less common, and usually appeared on cable. And on top of that, Americans had recently shown their disapproval for gay couples at the ballot box. Starting around 2000, voters in over 30 states had voted to prevent same-sex couples from getting married. At the same time that Stephen and Christopher were developing Modern Family, California voters approved Proposition 8, a ban on marriage equality, in the very state where the show was going to be set.
California voters have spoken out on what's called Proposition 8. They have approved a ban on same-sex marriages.
Stephen and Christopher had a tough choice to make. Either take a chance on having Mitch and Cam be prominent members of the core cast, possibly alienating viewers, or play it safe by making them background characters.
You can make a million decisions right, and you can make one decision wrong, and that'll kill you. And that's this business.
Their concern deepened when they ran the idea for the show past a friend, a prominent gay writer. He hated it. He told them to scale back the gay couple. He told them, quote, "No one's going to watch unless Mitch and Cam were reduced to minor supporting roles." In other words, exactly how most sitcoms had handled gay couples in the past. But as they mulled it over, Stephen and Christopher realized that if they were going to make a show called Modern Family, it didn't make sense to remove the kind of family that had only just begun to appear on modern TV shows.
We both said, well, you can't do a show about this without this. So we'll just do the best we can, and yes, it'll turn off a large portion of America, but it has to be.
In the end, they decided they would keep the gay couple as central characters and cross their fingers that it wouldn't backfire on them. ABC greenlit the show in 2008, and the following fall, America met Mitchell and Cam. They're a well-matched pair. Mitchell's uptight and fussy,
They'd call me weird.
while Cam's a bit more outgoing and, well,
Swishy?
Swishy, yes.
Yeah.
the characters are played by Jesse Tyler Ferguson and Eric Stonestreet. And by the way, they were not in the original plan for the cast. I found some very fun behind-the-scenes details about how both of these actors talked their way into their roles.
The year leading up to Modern Family, I killed 3 people.
And I'm posting those stories over on Patreon. Head over to patreon.com/MattBaum if you want to see that. So the first time that we meet Mitch and Cam, they're bringing their newly adopted daughter Lily home from Vietnam. And they're prepared for people to disapprove.
We're gonna be judged enough as the only gay parents there. I don't want to be the late ones, too.
Paisley and Pink, was there something wrong with the fishnet tank top?
Obviously not, I'm wearing it underneath.
But, at least on the show, they don't encounter much opposition. But behind the scenes, the showrunners were concerned about how real-life Americans would react. So, in the first few episodes, Modern Family was careful about giving Mitch and Cam stories that were less about being gay and more about being parents. We see them trying to fit in at daycare,
I want to dance for my baby.
arguing about baby clothes,
Why is she dressed like the Hamburglar?
getting lost at Costco trying to buy diapers,
You know what we should do? We should get enough for like the next year or two, right?
Where would we keep them?
They sell sheds.
The idea was that by giving them storylines that would be relatable to gay and straight viewers, the audience would get to know them as parents while also getting used to them being gay.
They start relating to these characters and realizing, oh, they're not too different from us, and then they're like, oh wait, but they're gay.
And this tactic was pretty effective. Viewers loved the show, especially Mitch and Cam. Modern Family landed in the top 10 in ratings throughout the first season and the top 5 among new shows. Episodes averaged around 10 million viewers, which was great for the time, and Mitch and Cam were audience favorites. Barbara Walters put them on her list of the most fascinating people of the year.
On mainstream TV once a week, audiences are watching 2 gay men raise a baby and rooting for them.
The Hollywood Reporter called Modern Family the best new series of the year. The LA Times wrote that family sitcoms were, quote, back from the dead. And far from a liability, they wrote that Mitch and Cam were the centerpiece of the show. But there was also some criticism. Of course, conservatives launched a campaign to boycott ABC for daring to depict a same-sex couple. The group 1 Million Moms declared that simply putting a gay couple on TV was offensive.
Surprise!
A producer for Fox News said Modern Family was causing the destruction of the American family.
Kind of a lot of drama.
The head of the American Family Association called Mitch and Cam corrosive, twisted, and a little bit of poison.
I think we have different definitions of poison.
But there was also criticism from some unexpected quarters. Gay viewers who noticed that Modern Family wasn't treating Mitch and Cam the same as the straight couples. While the other couples were frequently physically affectionate, Mitch and Cam seldom touched, rarely hugged, and never kissed.
This is unacceptable.
At first, Christopher and Stephen and the rest of the cast responded to the criticism by asking audiences to just wait.
Chris and Steve and the creators, they have an arc to this show, and you're going to see everything you could ever imagine from Cameron and Mitchell. I promise. No, we're going to have sex, Jesse.
But that just made people more impatient. Fans started an online petition on Facebook urging the show to let Mitch and Cam kiss. Jesse Tyler Ferguson, who played Mitch, tweeted that he'd sign the petition himself. But behind the scenes, not everyone was so eager. For years, gay kisses had been a source of controversy for TV shows. After Tales of the City showed a gay couple kissing in the 90s, there were congressional hearings that nearly led to the defunding of PBS. In 2008, conservatives were outraged when Luke and Noah kissed on As the World Turns.
And obviously these are people that are trying to push an agenda on the viewers, and the reality is I think most people really don't want it.
And in 2009, the same year that Modern Family premiered, CBS blurred a same-sex kiss between Adam Lambert and his keyboardist. Many viewers still regarded gay kisses on TV as controversial, even inappropriate to air. And that put Modern Family in a tricky position. On one hand, they just managed to get audiences comfortable with the gay couple, and showing a kiss could alienate that middle part of the country that they were so worried about. But on the other hand, if the show kept treating Mitch and Cam differently, it made them seem, as a family, less legitimate than the straights. So as the season wore on, the lack of physical contact became more and more obvious, and fans even started calling the showrunners out to their faces.
And as a lesbian, I would just really like to know when we're going to see Cameron and Mitchell get some on-screen action, like kissing or something.
With pressure building, Modern Family finally responded early in season 2 with an episode entitled The Kiss. In the opening, Cam gets annoyed at Mitch for not being affectionate enough, just as fans had been saying all along.
I remember once at a New Year's Eve party, stroke of midnight, he high-fived me.
And Mitch keeps trying to dodge the issue, just like the show had been doing.
I don't appreciate you making me feel bad because I can't live up to your impossible standards. Nobody kisses at a bowling alley.
I almost got a turkey.
But then things get awkward at a big family gathering.
It's beautiful, Gloria, just like my Mitchell.
And Mitch and Cam finally hash it out in front of everybody. In a heart-to-heart between Mitch and his dad and his sister, they realized that they just didn't get much physical affection when they were young, and Mitch developed a self-consciousness about showing that he loved someone.
You being so emotionally closed off makes it very difficult for your children to show affection.
But he also recognizes that it's important to Cam, and one might say to fans of the show, so Mitch promises to try a little harder. And we finally get to see the couple kiss, and for all the worries about public reaction, there was no backlash at all. The episode won an award for its writing, it was one of the highest rated episodes of the season, and it beat every other scripted show that week, except for Glee, which happened to be the Britney Spears episode, so good luck beating that.
It's a Britney Spears sex riot.
What's so smart about the way this issue is handled is that the show not only explains why physical contact had been so scant, but Mitch's discomfort provides a reason for the show to gradually work up to showing more affection over time, which is exactly what it did in the episodes that followed. Over season 2, there's a noticeable increase in kisses between Mitch and Cam woven into the jokes. The show's using comedy to take something that was once a little scary to some people and make it just no big deal.
And for a lot of people, they might be the first gay couple that they know. We sort of call our show like the Trojan horse, so we sort of sneak into people's rooms, and before they know that they love us, we're like, we're already in.
So now, Mitch and Cam were one step closer to truly being equal to the straight couples on the show, but with one exception. They still couldn't get legally married. Behind the scenes, many members of the cast had become involved in the fight for marriage equality, particularly Jesse Tyler Ferguson. He did interviews.
For people who are traditionalists, I think there's nothing more traditional than wanting to get married.
He and Eric Stonestreet, who played Cam, recorded TV ads.
It's not politics, it's about love and human rights.
Eric Stonestreet, look at me. That is why I love you.
Aww.
Jesse and his then-boyfriend Justin started a foundation to raise money for equality groups.
Tie the Knot is a foundation that Justin and I started about 5 years ago. We started to raise funds for marriage equality.
But they were up against a formidable foe. There was a huge conservative legal machine fighting marriage, not just in California, but nationwide. And they had some very powerful politicians backing them up. Among them, the governor of California, who, for weird reasons at the time, was Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yes, the guy from Terminator.
I personally always said that marriage is between a man and a woman.
Arnold also vetoed a bill that would have legalized marriage equality in California. And when gay couples sued to overturn Prop 8, Arnold was in charge of defending it. The Prop 8 case had his name on it, Perry v. Schwarzenegger. Meanwhile, public opinion was improving, but most polls showed that Americans were still opposed to letting same-sex couples marry, thanks in part to conservative groups spending millions to air anti-equality ads across the country.
I'm a Massachusetts parent, helplessly watching public schools teach my son that gay marriage is okay.
It was looking like same-sex couples might never get full marriage equality, both in real life and on TV. But then, on June 25th, 2013, everything changed. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled in the Schwarzenegger case, overturning Prop 8 in California and also laying the groundwork for full federal recognition. Modern Family was heading into summer break when the ruling came down, but the writers jumped into action to figure out how to respond.
One of the writers, who happens to be gay, said that he was actually happier as a writer than he was as a gay man.
That writer was Jeffrey Richman, who said that he started planning Cam and Mitch's wedding before he even realized he could start planning his own. But once again, there was a risk of alienating conservative viewers. TV shows had depicted a handful of same-sex ceremonies in the past, starting with Rock in the early 90s.
Did you see the wedding cake? It has 2 little grooms up on top.
And then on shows like Friends, The L Word, and this very sweet 2009 ceremony on All My Children. But just like the same-sex kisses, these commitment ceremonies were often a source of controversy. Viewers complained, sponsors balked, stations refused to air them. Once again, Modern Family found itself in a delicate position. With public opinion now roughly split 50-50, the show might lose the middle America audience they'd worked so hard to attract and retain. So they took what they learned with the Kiss episode 3 years earlier and crafted a story that emphasized the similarities between Mitch and Cam and the other couples. It starts with the season 5 premiere, in which all the couples on the show rediscover the things that made them fall in love in the first place. And it culminates with Mitch and Cam getting in a contest with each other to engineer the perfect romantic proposal. But all their plans keep going wrong.
Well, you'll feel better after you throw up.
And they wind up with a broken down car on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere.
You know, it's a different world down there than it was 24 hours ago.
Cam, tire.
Oh my gosh, oh my god.
It's gonna be a different world for the people in that yellow house.
Kneeling there in the dirt, trying to fix a flat tire.
Yes.
Writer Jeffrey Richman said that as he worked on this episode, quote, "I teared up. I think you don't realize how invested in these characters you are until this huge thing that had been denied to them suddenly is not an obstacle for them." But not every obstacle was out of the way. Over the course of season 5, Mitch and Cam plan their wedding, and of course, wacky hijinks always seem to follow. Just as with The Kiss, the show focuses on wedding planning storylines that would be relatable to a wide audience, gay or straight.
I'm going to review our flower options, and I have to say, so far, I'm partial to Floral and Hardy, but I'm going to give one last look at Flora Scump.
And while most of the mayhem is comedic,
I cannot be in a house with snakes.
some issues are more serious. Mitch's dad, Jay, has never been totally comfortable with the idea of them getting married.
It's legal for a man to marry another man.
Ew, he threw up.
He just needs some time to get used to the idea, honey.
And eventually, he just can't keep his discomfort hidden.
This whole wedding thing is weird to me. Why do you need to make it into a spectacle?
A spectacle?
This is what happens when they let men marry men. That cannot be a coincidence.
And as the wedding draws near, it seems like he might not even attend because he's worried about what his macho golf buddies will think.
I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know how this stuff plays out with my guys from the club.
Things get even worse on the day of the wedding. There's a fire near the venue.
We've waited 10 years. Could we please have an hour?
I don't think you realize how close you are to actual flames.
Cam's parents start fighting and are on the verge of divorce.
It's your son's wedding. Maybe lose the toothpick?
I'm getting tired of this nagging. I'm leaving you.
The wedding party's attacked by a swarm of butterflies.
This is the happiest day of your dad's lives.
Oh! The butterflies are eating me!
And it looks like after waiting all this time, the wedding's such a fiasco, they're better off canceling it.
Is this really how you want to get married?
Well, it's not ideal. Half of our guests are on the lawn, and there go the sprinklers.
Okay, let's just call time of death on this.
That is, until, to Mitch's surprise, someone speaks up.
Now, what are we all standing around for?
After getting into a fight with his son, Jay realized how important this day was to Mitch, that he'd been waiting for it for years, that he was willing to put up with one disaster after another just to declare his commitment to the man he loves. So at the last minute, Jay finds the perfect backup venue, his macho golf club.
My son's getting married today.
Finally, after all that fighting for equality in real life and dealing with disasters on the show, Mitch and Cam get to walk down the aisle.
I am privileged to pronounce you spouses for life. You may now kiss your husband.
Just as thousands of real-life couples got married across California. And among those real-life couples that married, Jesse Tyler Ferguson, who just before filming his TV wedding, married his real-life partner, Justin.
I have 2 husbands, you guys. Remember we could have 0 husbands, now I have 2.
This all coincided with a huge surge in support for marriage equality. Polls show that now a majority of Americans supported the freedom to marry, and for the first time, voters in multiple states approved ballot measures legalizing marriage.
We have finally won the freedom to marry for all families in Maine.
But why did that public change of heart happen? Well, there were a lot of reasons, but I think characters like Cam and Mitch played a meaningful role. I mentioned this briefly in my video about Will and Grace, but in 2005, researchers at MIT investigated how certain shows with gay characters can cause viewers to reduce their prejudice. This doesn't happen with every show. In order for it to work, the research suggests that the gay characters have to be featured in non-superficial roles over a long period of time. Say, a committed gay couple who get significant screen time in every episode over the course of multiple seasons. The gay characters also have to be on equal footing with other members of their social group. They have to share common relatable goals with other characters. And they have to be unopposed by significant authority figures. When all those conditions are met, the study found, viewers can feel personally connected to fictional gay characters and are more likely to rethink prejudice about queer people in real life. Now, changing public opinion wasn't the goal of Steven and Christopher when they came up with Modern Family. But by including Mitch and Cam and crafting storylines that made them appeal to a wide audience, Modern Family managed to create the perfect conditions for viewers to accept gay dads as just another part of the family.
We really want to make a good impression.
Modern Family ran for another 6 seasons and then took a bow in 2020. In the series finale, Cam gets a job offer in Missouri, close to the family that he left behind when he moved to California to be with Mitch.
I don't care where we live, as long as you're there by my side.
And the show ends with them heading out on a new adventure, to the middle part of America, exactly the place that when the show was being developed, they feared would never accept them. In researching this video, I found a bunch of great details about the making of Modern Family that I just didn't have room for in the video, like how they auditioned over 1,000 actors for all the roles except one, the weird interview questions that Barbara Walters asked about homosexuality, and the time that Jesse got in trouble for saying this.
They're like Bert and Ernie, and they lived together, as did Bert and Ernie.
They did live together.
Suspicious.
I've got those stories and bonus videos over on Patreon. Check those out at patreon.com/MattBaum, along with some other perks like stickers and books in the mail. Thanks to everybody who makes these videos possible. And now, if you'll excuse me, I've got to go check on my thoroughly modern family.